Okay, let's talk about escalation and calibration. How many people have issues with calibration? Cool. How many people have issues with escalation? Cool. Guess what? They're the same issue, right? They're the same thing, because calibration cannot exist without escalation, okay? Calibration cannot exist without escalation. In fact, the only thing you're ever calibrating is your level of escalation. That's what calibration is. It's deciding the appropriate level of escalation, okay? So, it's a model I kind of always had in my head, but it got delineated for me. I watched a sales video from Jordan Belfort, and this is like his like straight line persuasion sort of selling thing, which is exactly how I do pickup, but I didn't know how to like explain it until I saw his. So let's say this is nothing in the interaction, nothing's happened, this is 100, and whether that's sex or relationship or whatever your end goal is, whatever that end goal is, that's your outcome, okay? Now, this right here is the range where the interaction is good. If you're in between here, the interaction's good, okay? Here's what most guys do on an approach. They go in, and it's totally fine, and then they just sit here. And they never go anywhere. They just sit there in this good range, and they never move it forward, right? That doesn't work very well, okay? The other type of guy you'll see is the type of guy who they'll move it forward, and as they move it forward, it goes outside of that range, and they continue moving it forward until the girl hates it and leaves. Okay, so they move it forward in a way that makes it awkward and uncomfortable, so it's no longer in that range of a good interaction. It goes outside the range, it's a bad interaction. They continue to try and escalate, the girl's like, fuck this, I don't want that escalation, set's over, okay? And by the way, this is the guy, I talked earlier about the two types of guys that can succeed but aren't perfect. This is the it's always on guy. I'm just gonna escalate no matter what, and oftentimes it goes out. Now, if it happens to just go straight there, then he'll succeed. If she likes him the whole time and he escalates, he'll get to sex. So he can succeed, but he doesn't very often, right? This is the guy that needs the perfect liner technique, otherwise he won't escalate. Every now and again, he might stumble onto something and maybe it'll move forward, or maybe he'll stumble onto that girl that just likes him so much she'll escalate for him, but for the most part, he's not getting anywhere, okay? So those are the two types of guys you normally see. This is what you should be doing. As long as it's in this range where it's good, you should be escalating. If it ever goes outside of this range, you stop escalating, and your only goal is to get it back in the range. Then once it's back in the good range, you escalate some more, okay? So anytime the interaction is good, you should be attempting to move it forward. Anytime the interaction is bad, you don't move it forward, you just get the vibes right, chill it out, build some comfort, let the girl get to know you a little bit better, get it good again, and then once it's good, you're gonna move it forward. So escalation is your default. Your default is, I am a man, I make no apologies for my desires as a man, I like sex, she likes sex, it makes sense we're gonna end up here. So if there's no negative indicators, I'm just gonna escalate. As soon as there are negative indicators though, you're gonna calibrate, get it back to good, and then escalate some more, only once things are clearly good again. Does that make sense? So that's escalation and calibration and how it works. And the great thing about escalation, why escalation is so important is this. Let's take one specific escalation that makes a lot of guys nervous, going for the kiss. A lot of guys are nervous going for the kiss. A lot of guys don't know how to do it. Here's the thing about going for the kiss. I have never in my entire pickup career lost a girl because I got rejected going for the kiss. Not once, right? Even when I've gotten rejected on the kiss, right? Because the purpose of the kiss is not for your lips to touch hers. That doesn't really even matter. Purpose of the kiss is to convey that you're the type of guy that kisses and convey that you believe that she is the type of girl that would kiss you. That's the point. So if you go for the kiss and she doesn't kiss you, you've still achieved that. You still conveyed you're a kissy guy and you believe you're high value enough for her to kiss you. And because that's conveyed, assuming she doesn't leave right at that moment, assuming she stays and talks to you with you having tried to kiss her, she's agreed that within a man-to-woman frame, she wants to continue this. Make sense? So the point of the kiss, if you get it, that's great, obviously. It's better if you do than if you don't. But if you go for the kiss and don't get the kiss right then and there, it doesn't, and assuming she stays around, it continues, it doesn't mean no. It just means not yet, need some more time, etc. Right? And funny enough, It may even mean that she's open to other escalations, but just not the kiss. In particular, a lot of times girls that have boyfriends, they'll have sex with you, but they won't kiss you, right? So just not getting the kiss doesn't even necessarily mean she won't have sex with you. So just be aware of that as well. But the point is, escalation, any kind of escalation, it has value in that it makes it man to woman, it conveys a message, it moves the interaction forward. Right? So it is valuable for its own sake, whether it succeeds or fails. Obviously, you want to do it in a calibrated way so that it moves forward. But if you don't, you don't. It's okay. Ideally, the perfect way to escalate is to never actually hear no. It's to escalate right up to the point. Like, here's the perfect way to escalate would be this. You escalate right up to the point it's about to leave here. And then you like calibrate it back. You escalate, calibrate it back, escalate, calibrate it back. You know what I mean? And you eventually are like just moving it forward.
Push-pull.
Huh?
Push-pull.
Not even push-pull. It's more, Julian would call it pressure on, pressure off. The idea is that you're escalating to the point of there might be resistance, and then you're releasing and letting it chill and letting her be more comfortable. And then once she gets to know you more and like you more, then the threshold that she'll allow you to escalate has increased, so then you increase back up to that threshold. Does that make sense?
Calibrate a little bit more, like in what it is?
Calibrate means basically know how much. Know how much, right? Calibration literally is like, say if you have a scale, right? A scale measures weight, but you have to check it against an established weight to know if it's accurate, right? So it's knowing how much it really is. You have this measure, but you have to decide how much it is. So calibration in game is, I know that I need to escalate. I know that if I don't move things forward, I know if I don't make moves, it'll never happen. But certain girls are very down. Certain girls are like ready to go right away. You have sex with them in 5 minutes in a bathroom, right? Some girls, you have to spend like 16 hours. Some girls, you take a couple dates, right? And so calibration is determining the pace at which the girl is comfortable based on who she is, what your interaction with her is, that kind of stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So calibration is basically determining the pace at which she's comfortable, right? And determining when you've gone too fast versus when you can speed up. And here's a trick for always knowing, okay? And this is what I call invisible escalation. I kind of want to grab, does anyone want to be a volunteer if you'll be blurred? Okay, cool. All right. All right, cool. So invisible escalation, all right? If I were to try and like give him a hug, right? I'm not going to fully give you a hug, but if I were like to just like lean in and lurch and give him a hug, that might be a little much, right? He might be like, oh, what's going on? Might be a little standoffish about it. Does that make sense? Okay. Instead, what I might do is I might talk, and as I'm talking, I might go like this and see if he takes my hand. You can or not, it doesn't matter. Okay, so he took my hand, so that's good. That's a very positive gesture. He took my hand, we didn't have to. Now, if he hadn't taken my hand, I would have just dropped it and continued to talk, right? But I put it out, you took it, cool, cool. So now from there, that's a positive. So now if I were to pull you in, okay, cool, he's coming in, that's good, cool, cool, right? And then as soon as if I were to come here and like if you were to tense up, like if he tenses up, then I might be like, oh, so that's very interesting, and back off. So that's calibration. Okay, calibration is noticing when he's about to tense up or noticing when there's a negative and then not pushing it further. A lot of guys do one of two things. They either just stand here and have this platonic interaction where they never do anything, right? Instead, they should be like, oh, this is so cute, and seeing like try something a little physical, see how she reacts. If she goes like backing away, she's not ready. If she seems really cool with it or smiles even, then you know she's on for more, right? And if that's on, then maybe like here, then maybe a hug, whatever, or maybe pull her in and kiss her or whatever. Does that make sense? So you're trying these little moves that if she were to react negatively, it wouldn't even be that negative, right? In fact, it would almost be like a rejection you don't know happened. You can go ahead and sit down, thank you. A couple examples of this that I do. One is, say for example, if I'm gonna go for a kiss. One thing that I'll do sometimes is there's a few of them I'll do. One is I'll just kind of like make eye contact and kind of just lean slightly in, like very slowly, and I'll notice her reaction. And if she pulls away, I'll know she's not on for a kiss. If she just stays there, I might not even kiss her right then, but I kind of know she's down. But the lean in and the eye contact and lean in was subtle enough that if she were to pull away, I didn't actually try for it and I didn't actually lose much. Okay? So I got all the same information as going for it, but I didn't actually have to take the risk of rejection. That makes sense? Whereas if, obviously if there is a negative, you pull away, relax, and do some more. Another one for the kiss that I like is, for example, you say, come here, I want to tell you something. You kind of, this works in a loud club a lot. You lean in, like whisper something in her ear, and then as you pull away, like pull away from leaning in the ear, you kind of like, instead of pulling away this way, you kind of pull away across her cheek like this and see if she allows the cheek to like stay on yours. And if she allows it to be there, you probably could kiss her. Now, you could potentially just kiss her right then and there. But what I like to do, because I like keeping tension, is I'd pull away, just know that I can, and then I might do it later. But that's another really good test for whether you can do it. And again, it's invisible escalation, because like you're talking in the ear and then you just pull back this way. If she pulls away, she doesn't really know you tried anything. It's just, it's just a reaction, but you got all the same information, okay? So that's calibrated escalation. And for me, I'm constantly escalating. If there's any thought in my mind that I think it's on, I think it's good, I think it could go somewhere, I'm always escalating. But I'm escalating in this very calibrated way. Instead of trying this one like crazy move, it's 10 little moves, where if any of them were rejected, it almost doesn't feel like anything happened.
Any tips for escalating?
Do what I just said. Basically, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different moves you could do within that, but as long as you get the general idea right, the moves themselves don't matter. Like there's some guys that like to touch her on the arm and see how she reacts to that. Some guys like to take her hand. Some guys like to give her a hug. Some guys just like to lean closer. But the idea is, as long as you are escalating and you're getting positive and negative feedback and just increasing the escalation, you can't really go wrong.
Or I guess I'm saying like maybe sexualizing it.
Again, same thing.
Yeah.
So if you have a problem with sexualizing it, that means you're not trying. Because there's two ways an interaction can end. It can end in sex, or it can end in her rejecting you. If it doesn't end in either one, that's your fault for not making a move. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a certain point where you think, there's like a point of no return? Like, you fucked up so bad that, like, will that be clear, you think?
We'll talk about that tomorrow. There's actually a thing in the late game, which actually like labeled point of no return, which we'll talk about tomorrow. So we'll do a long segment on that, yeah.
Do you ever know, when doing some of these invisible escalations, whether she doesn't react positively, know not to waste your time and just let that one go? Or would you try to keep on going with it and kind of go different ways?
We'll talk about that tomorrow too, screening and stuff like that. Basically, I'm looking for 3 characteristics: hotness, onness, and logistics. How hot is she? How much does she like me? And how are the logistics? And if the other 2 are good, but the onness isn't that good, I typically actually will stay in as long as she hasn't left, because I have a lot of confidence in my ability to change that one. But some of the other ones I won't. Like if the logistics are impossible, then I might actually leave under those conditions. And if she's just like totally awful, like totally mean and seems no chance, then that's as well. But we'll talk a lot more about that tomorrow. Do you have a question or no? Okay, cool. All right, so that's invisible escalation. Does everybody understand that concept? Okay.